I wanted to talk about icons and not only figuring out what they do, but figuring out what they're called. And I thought initially when I first wrote this talk that it would be nice to turn it to a game so everyone can feel like a loser. So we have icons, and they're everywhere, and they have been for some time. And we don't often always know what an icon is called, and we've kind of not cared, but as we get more voice interfaces, especially if it's a voice interface with a screen, it gets more important. So anybody who's used Dragon Naturally Speaking already knows this. What do you say when you want to click the button that's the eyeball with the squiggly line through it? What is it called? And the developer may have done it perfectly. They put their real label in there. The screen reader users can find everything, but that doesn't help speech control because they don't have a screen reader. And if we don't know the name of something, we can come up with something to help explain maybe what it means, which that works, but that doesn't help if you have a control with a name. And we use context. We look at, okay, here's a bunch of buttons. They seem to mean one thing. So if we look at the healthy baby, everything else in a button is some kind of food. So, and it's how to cook it. So clearly the healthy baby is how to cook a healthy baby, because that's how context works. That's how we figure out how things work. Now, how many people in here purchase and wash their own clothing? And you better all have your hands up. You don't live with your mom, right? Yeah. So you all know what the hand in the bucket of water symbol means, right? Shout it out. What's it mean?
Hand wash.
Hand wash. That's right. So you know what the box means with the two diagonal lines in the upper left-hand corner? How about the W in the circle? Now I'll give you a hint. It's the opposite of dry cleaning.
What? Wet.
It's wet cleaning. I don't know what that is. It's a thing. So we've all seen people kind of make fun of the fact that nobody knows how to wash their clothes, which is fine, right? So the question is, if nobody knows how to wash their clothes, why do we have these symbols everywhere? And it's because if you buy your camiseta that's hecho en Mexico and you have to lava with agua fria, and then you have to translate that, how to take care of it in the 500 languages of all the countries that you sell that shirt in, you're going to have a tag that sits at the back of your neck. It's going to go down your back and stick out your butt like a tail, and nobody wants that. So if it's good to have icons to reduce the length of things in clothing, then why does it suck to do that for the web? And the difference is there are standards for clothing. There's actually a company that's all they do is they sit around on their butts and they think up what's the standard for this thing. They thought up the box with the two diagonal lines to mean that you line dry it. No, sorry, that was dry flat in the shade. That's right. The web has standards, but it doesn't have any icon standards, unfortunately. Although you could say, wait a minute, we have some icons that always mean the same thing. So we kind of sort of have standards, right? Just because people, do stuff. So let's test your knowledge on this, So we'll do with some easy ones. We all know what the magnifying glass means, right? Sure. Shout it out. Sure. It means magnify. That's why it's always a picture on the images. When you click the image gets bigger, right? We all know what the three horizontal parallel lines are, because we see it everywhere. Justify text, of course. That's exactly what it means. We just saw it on the other presentation briefly. I saw the justify text symbol. We all know what the cross means.
Close.
Multiply, like money. You can see they even took the symbol from, Nigel face. A simple square. It's so simple, we must all know what it means. So this actually brings up a good point. Context is a thing. And this is an image of a dishwasher from 2 jobs ago where for the first 2 weeks after it was installed, it had to have a sticky note, a Post-it note on it stating what these symbols meant, because if this were on a video player, people would have no problem with it. But once you put it on a dishwasher, they're totally lost. In fact, sticky notes on appliances and offices is a thing. And some of the people working at United may have remembered that, why would we take up the place of a tiny LED or something when we have all this white space that we can just use sticky notes for, right? So you say, okay, here's what we do. We take something in real life that everyone knows what it is, we turn it into some kind of an icon, and bam, we're good, right? Except what if in the other part of the world that same thing looks completely different? Or what if when you try to use it for, like, say, a web context, it completely just fails? And so that's not necessarily the solution. This is a cat. Who can see the cat? Raise your hand and be honest. Can you see the cat? Seriously? When I was a kid, I thought it was a goblin. My parents told me it was a cat, and I said, you guys are full of shit. But they saw the cat when they were young. They knew the cat because they saw the cat. Now there's a cat. That's not a goblin nose. It's a cat paw. There's no way I could have known that because I never saw the cat. So, you know, and Europe loves using steam trains when they talk about modern trains. In fact, it looks like Germany is the only modern country showing a non-steamy spewing train for trains. Go Germany. Here's a tweet from a guy saying, me on tech support, what buttons are on your screen? Talking to his mom, and she goes, a hot water bottle and a dentist chair. And there's a screenshot from apparently Skype. Is she wrong? Is she wrong? And you might say, well, if it looked like an actual microphone and a camera, then maybe she would know. But the thing is, it probably started up something like that, and then it slowly shortened into this other thing that only, you know, hip young people know. If you don't know the context, then you don't necessarily know what it means. And a lot of times in design, product design and web design, people have this thing they talk about called intuition. And intuition means that people magically know how it works. But the fact is, most of the time, intuition means somebody learned this somewhere else and they remembered it when they got to your thing. So if you don't know what the story is, you don't know which toilet to go into, you pick one randomly. Are you a wolf in a woman's clothing or are you a girl in woman's clothing? Pick one. So now it's time to play the game. Hey, there's a mouse in the way. I hate when people leave their mouse in the way. So your goal is not to be a loser user. Okay? And we'll start off with an easy one that everyone always gets right. We have a planet with an arrow. What's the planet with the arrow mean? Language. See, so y'all get negative 10 points just because I was hoping somebody somewhere would say choose planet. It's horrible. It's sad. Okay, so this is like the full menu, the full context of the thing. This is, I think, dots and particular to know. And so to get yourselves back out of the hole of that negative 10 points, we can go from left to right on these icons. The far left one is eating or food. The next one, jobs, business, working. The next one, bowling. The next one, making sweet, sweet love, of course. The next one, I can't tell if that's a Heineken in a cup thing or if it's a Starbucks cup, but it's either drinking Heineken or Starbucks. The next one, birthday, party, something else. We all float down here. The last one could be doing abacus time because we all love doing math on an abacus. And the X here on our little thing, of course, means
Close.
I even told you earlier, and you've already forgotten. See how great these icons stick in your mind? Okay, next one, the heart. What does the heart do?
Favorite. Go to the favorite page.
So most people are they have a vague idea of what this thing does. And so what is it called?
Favorite? Wish list.
Oh no, my thing is not working. Oh no, I have wonderful like fails and wins. I'm wondering, ooh, neither one of them work on this. That's horrible. Normally I could show you guys, you were so wrong. Okay, so the heart is not called favorites, it's not called lists, it's not called hearts. Well, it's close to being called lists. It's itty bitty teeny weeny itsy bitsy listies, which you have to know if you want to hit this thing with voice control. But you know, okay, so we're winners. We're winners, right? This one's my favorite one, even though it's only number 3. This is the flag in the circle. Tell me what the flag in the circle is.
Save.
Save, bookmark, no, and normally I'd have a huge Lex Luthor going, wrong! But he's not showing up here. So no, it's not. Here it is more in context. What does the flaggy thing mean? This is bold with comb.
Placeholder.
That's pretty good. I would give you the mailman from Rick and Morty going, my man, but the person has shown up here. So yes, if there's no rating, we're going to use a bookmark thingy or a save thingy or a flag thingy because everyone knows what that means, right? We are rocking it here. This is from Dropbox, who is not evil. They do label their icons. But I thought if I took away the names and I asked people what the eyeball was, most people have a good idea what an eyeball usually means. So what do you guys think the eyeball means?
Public or hidden. Public or hidden.
No?
Preview.
Not a preview?
Times viewed.
No? Now, usually eyeballs have something to do with hiding and showing, so you guys are somewhere in the general direction. But what surprised me with this one is that it's seeing things that are gone and don't exist. And that was something I would have never, I'd be like, sitting there and think about that. Here's another eyeball. This is from a product nobody in this room has used. But I couldn't tell what it was. Also, the icon to the left, nobody actually knows what it is. It has nothing to do with resizing. It looks like it does, but it apparently doesn't. No, it's switching a view. So, okay, it's got the word view, which has something to do with eyeballs, but I don't see the switch in there, so that wouldn't have worked. I don't use the icon because I can't figure out what it means. Everyone gets these ones right. The Goofy Pac-Man and the horse's hoof. We know what these are, right? Goofy Pac-Man?
Yep.
Colors, yeah. And this is the whole thing that it's sitting in, so it's an email program. So the Goofy Pac-Man.
Text color.
Text color, yeah, and the horse's hoof. Highlight, that's good. But as a bonus, this is under the more. I have a more because I zoom way in, so it squishes a bunch off. We have two, the people who are into typography in here recognize a little paragraph tag, but we got one with an arrow on one side and one with an arrow on the other side. What's the one that's selected with the arrow on one side? What's it mean?
Right text, right left text.
You got it, man. Everyone's like, text direction? What? You get like plus 100 points, man. This is from TripAdvisor. We got the little Safari. Safaris mean
Navigate.
it's their home button, but I just say, hey, it's the Safari button. If I click it, I must go on Safari. This one, from right to left, the far right one is me, and the rest are buttons that do stuff. Most people are pretty good at guessing what the bell means, or what it would be called. They called it notifications. That's good. The eye in the circle then should be, it should be info, but they decided to take a button and actually put the word open in it. I don't know why the other one's not open notifications, but so if you're using voice control, that can kind of trick you up. And then we have a plus, and pluses usually mean, they usually mean add. This one doesn't mean add. Anybody have any other guesses besides add?
New. Create. New call.
New. Now you said create, and if I was going to make a creation button, I would probably do something different. It is create board or organization, and I thought if I'm making something for at least Western countries, maybe I'd actually use an actual creation button or something. Because, yeah, who knows? This one is a program that I really hate because I'm not a designery person and I find it all mysterious. But we have a pencil, and what do we use pencils for? Or sometimes we use pencils for other things. But yeah, so this button's name is edit. If you're using a screen reader, using speech, you'd say edit. But if you're a mouse user, for some reason, its name is update project density because that's exactly what pencils are for. And then they have a wiggly box, and most people guess something to do with the wiggly box is copying. But when you click it, it doesn't actually copy anything. It opens up a drop down with one of the options called copy web link, but then in case we're stupid, then it will tell us in a helpful tooltip that covers the other half, copy link to clipboard, which this is you know how we have code smells in code? This is a design smell. If you got to add a tooltip that almost repeats what you're saying, but then not quite, you should have had that as the actual link instead. And last, or nearly last, up arrow from a box.
Share.
It could be share, it could be upload. And so actually it's a nameless button. They didn't give it a name. It opens a dialogue that probably does something, and then it's like, I see scene share down by the scene share or something. So it's some kind of sharing thing, but you wouldn't know. Basically, it's mystery meat. You know, you have to put the meat in your mouth to figure out what kind of animal it is based on the taste. Here you have to click the things to figure out what they do, which, you know, we love. Oh, this is one I use quite a bit. So we have a lightning bolt, and we have a puffy thing that looks like a cloud, and then we have the Apple logo. The Apple logo is probably Apple. What does the lightning bolt mean? I'm guessing he's going to know because he's known a bunch of them. So, lightning bolts, anybody?
He's pointing at you. He's not pointing at me.
Yeah. Anybody know?
Live connection, offline, online.
Somebody get something with the connection. So yeah, Sauce Connect proxy. This is for Sauce Labs, which we happen to use quite a bit. And I can give them a pass for this. That's a buttload of text that makes sense to kind of stuff all under an icon. But what's the puffy thing? You would think it's a cloud, but it's not a cloud. It's kind of related to the apple next to it. It's iOS simulator, and I don't know what that has to do with clouds, so I figure what they really meant was a nerd. It kind of looks like a nerd, and they probably should just add some color to this because it's mostly a black and white screen. They should just add some nerds. This is from my work, and I've bugged the designers about this a bunch of times. We have a box with like an arrow sticking out one thing inside a circle, and I said, what does it do? And they said, well, click it. So somebody made a prototype, and so it's got the arrow sticking out here, and when I clicked it, the arrow went down to the other direction. So I kept clicking it, and it was just kind of disco. So I said, okay, it's clearly a disco button, but what's it do? I am zoomed in slightly constantly, and if you have a media query that says, hey, if your screen is smaller than such and such, don't do anything. But apparently, if you have a ginormous Cinemax screen or something, if you click it, it will turn things into 2 columns, which is clearly obvious from the icon because we all knew that's exactly what it meant, was go from 1 column to 2 columns. So there's content underneath this table that would go up next to it. I wouldn't know. So now that we've had all these icons, we have these issues. If you have a restricted space, you use an icon or not. And by the way, this is another example of as far as accessibility goes, this thing was correctly marked up. All these icons have names somewhere for a screen reader user, but if nobody in this room is a screen reader user, you get to guess. But that's how this guy figured out that that meant mark is unread, was because he was testing with a screen reader. So the question is, why don't we use both labels and icons? And everybody says, oh, we don't have the room. So I give you the Windows Phone. I'm probably the only person in the room using a Windows Phone. And if you're going to not steal anything from Windows, it's fine, but this is one thing that everybody should steal from Windows. So we got a green bar that is constant. I have ages to figure out what this stuff means because I see it on everything. And I have a kebab here that also kind of shows up on everything. But all the other icons are per whatever I have open. So they differ. I don't want to have to learn those. I'm stupid. All I have to do is hit the kebab, and bam, I get text. And this is awesome. In fact, let's see it again. The heart, what, I don't know. I hit the kebab, and bam, I get told what it means. I don't have to guess anymore. Like, please steal this. Please steal this idea. I love it. I rely on it to use my phone. So we're all winners. Congratulate yourselves. Congratulate yourselves. I'm very unhappy that my no's and yeses didn't show up. Very unhappy. That was awesome.
I don't know exactly how, but does anyone have a question?
Someone have a question.
Why not always show the text underneath the logo? Why
That's what I ask myself all the time.
time.
Oh, why Windows does it? It's because the people who make the individual apps want only the icons, which is a very typical thing you get from designers say, yeah, but then you're taking up all the room from my application. So it's a compromise, because very often with design you have to do compromise. So that was their compromise was, if somebody's using the same app over and over and over and over and over again, they have time to learn it. So that's sort of your exception is you can have more cryptic icons if you know people have to spend time with it. If it's a one-off, it can't be cryptic because nobody knows what the hell is it. So here they're like, well, people can maybe initially see the labels, and then when they think they know it, they don't have to take up the space anymore, and they just don't hit the kebab.
One more. So what's your take on standardization? Do you think it should be completely standardized or it's more free market, like whatever sticks?
Well, so for those of you working in web accessibility, you've heard of the WCAG 2.0 guidelines somewhere? Or Drupalfrei, Webrichtlijnen. So there's 2.0 and it misses a bunch of stuff. It misses all the cognitive stuff and it misses stuff with people who have to zoom in. There's just a little bit about zooming in and that's it. And there's more people who need to zoom in a bit than there are totally blind people using screen readers, and there's all this screen reader focus, and like you have like 1 bazillionth of your visitors are screen reader users. You have a whole lot of people whose eyes aren't doing so good. So they're adding a 2.1, and there's a bunch of cognitive crap in there about maybe we have to, as developers, start adding attributes to things where a user can say, I have my own home icon, help icon, whatever in my system or in my browser, and through you using attributes stating that this is home and this is help and this, that my own icons can go there, which is sort of the opposite of standardization, but kind of solves the problem maybe, but it depends. They're trying to standardize these attributes, and that's very difficult because between one website and another, very often you don't see any similarities, and it's something they're kind of hammering out, but it is being talked about and being voted on as one option. I don't think we can web-wise standardize stuff unless the whole world agrees, because what Westerners think is awesome might be like a big fuck you in like China or something, so you gotta be real careful with them. And there's a lot of contextual meanings. An 80-year-old might not recognize something that all 20-year-olds recognize, and vice versa, like steam trains.
All right. Thank you very much.